For many years, we have been talking about poverty and colonial era in Africa. Our leaders are very smart because every time there is a political problem at home, we hear them blaming it on colonial era. If the economy is not doing well, they blame it on poverty. A few days ago, I was talking to my African brother. He said, look, why is that all these years we are growing up, you hear all these clever leaders are blaming domestic problem on poverty, blaming political problem on colonial era. It seems as if it is really properly planned. But then when you go deep into the source of poverty, then you ask yourself, why are we in poverty? We are in poverty because of our government and international monetary funds. Those are the creator of those are the creator of poverty. If you ask yourself, how much is the representative of IMF based in Kampala earning per month? How much is the director of IMF earning per month? It is a business. If you don't control your business, you don't make money. That is what they're doing. You see, the cry out loud by our leaders about poverty, about colonial era, is made for domestic consumption. But if you really go deep into the root source of poverty, what are they? They are poor management, corruption, which is you get the money and the money is stolen and is eaten. Some people will say inflation. Inflation is created by the government and the International Monetary Fund. Unemployment, when you invest all your money in the capital, then you attract the youth to move to the capital looking for a job. If they cannot find a job, what do you expect them to do? While in the rural areas, the same IMF is financing other group of people who comes and take your land. And then they make you homeless. That is the source of poverty. That's where you have to go. That's where you have to look for an answer. But then our leaders are very clever. What they do, if there is a domestic problem, they bring it out. We are in trouble because of poverty. We are in trouble because of colonial era. Let me touch on the colonial era. You see, those leaders think that we are very stupid. And maybe it's true, maybe we are stupid. But the fact is, when you talk of colonial era, the way I see it, the colonial era ended up in Uganda, for example, in 1962, in October 1962. when they gave us independence. That is when they made the last era. That was the colonial era, handing over independence to us. But today, we are still blaming them. Anything that goes wrong at home, we just say, colonial era. Anything that is going wrong at home with politics, we say, I got it from the colonial, that is colonial era. That is nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. The colonial era ended. The last colonial era made was in 1962, October, when they gave us the independence. That is when they made their last era. From 1962 after 2019, we as Ugandans, we have made mistake after mistake, mistake after mistake, again and again and again. And then we blame it on colonial era. And we still buy it as the citizen of Uganda. We still buy it. We say, yeah. And when you hear those leaders talking in the African Union, you have a lot of well-educated leaders who understand what is going on in the world. But when one leader stand up and start talking about colonial era, instead of realizing that we are making a fool of ourselves by saying the colonial era, that we are having problem because of the colonial era, then what are you doing about it? You did nothing. You should have changed the system from 1962, changed the rule from 1962, which you did. You have your parliament, and still you blame the colonial era. But what is so strange here is, what is so strange, those words are made for domestic consumption. Because the same people who blame the colonial era, when they finish with you at home, the next day they are in a plane flying to the capital of those colonial era. And then you ask yourself, what are they doing there? They're there to beg money. And when they're there, they will just sit, talk, beg for money, and they still get what they want, because they will just tell them, say, you know, to keep my people happy, I have to say that word, that we have a problem because of colonial era. While we, as the people, we know the colonial era ended in 1962, October, when we got independence. That is when they made their last colonial era. All the mistake, all the poverty, all the problem we are having is our own creation. It is our government who created it, together with international monetary funds, together with corruption, together with mismanagement of everything that is happening there. That is how I look at poverty and colonial era. You know, recently, I had the resident district commissioner of 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙇𝙊𝙒, Mr. 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙇𝙊𝙒, saying that money is luring our boys to go and fight for a rebel group in Southern Sudan. Then I asked myself to say, listen, the resident district commissioner in 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙇𝙊𝙒 is a representative of the president. and they have bags full of money for wealth creation. Why can't he just pick the phone and call the president and tell him, Mr. President, I have youth here who are doing nothing, who has nothing. Their life is being wasted. If we are not careful, they are going to be some people who come with money and then buy them up and they go and fight for the rebels. If we had done that a long time ago, we would not be talking about some people coming with money and then paying our young people to go and fight a war. I would like to remind the RDC that in 1994, the Acholi leaders, together with Bigombe, they made that mistake of recruiting our youth, over 10,000, which were trained, 300 almost per sub-district in Acholi, were trained and sent to fight in Congo alongside UPDF. I wonder whether anybody has taken responsibility for those recruitment. Now, in 1996, the then Major General Mugisha Muntu admitted that there are 18,000 home guards fighting alongside the government, protecting their country. I would like to remind the RDC that it is immersive. History is repeating itself. And we have to know about those boys going to fight in Southern Sudan. We have to know. And someone is going to be responsible. And that person who is responsible is the RDC of that district. Because we have to record history. The 18,000 Ugandans youth from Acholi who are forced to go and fight, or some maybe they blame it on certain rebels that abducted them while they are recruited and fighting for the government. And now we are hearing that the same circle is beginning again to play a role in the border town of Lamore. You are the resident district commissioner. You are the representative of the president in that area. When you talk about poverty and you still have pots of money for wealth creation and you're not using it in your own district, well, those people who are, they call themselves creator of wealth creation are driving big cars in your own town. You should think twice. You know, during the Second World War, the Jews were killed. But years after, people have gone after those who did massacre the Jews. And when the time comes for accountability, we will make sure that everybody who was involved take the responsibility for their action. So let's say It is very easy to blame everything on poverty. But let's be honest with ourselves. When you're honest with yourself, then you don't go and talk about poverty every time when you know the root cause of poverty. You are the one causing poverty. You are the one who is not really applying a proper method to stop poverty. You are ganging up with the International Monetary Fund against your own people because they tell you do that and you do it, do that and you do it. If you don't, I don't give you money. But all these years, you are still talking about poverty. You are still talking about Colonial Era, when the Colonial Era ended in 1962. And we the Ugandans, we the people, are also stupid. Because if we keep hearing the same poverty, Colonial Era, every year they come and tell you, and you say, oh yeah, he's my president, he's my minister, he's my member of parliament, then we are stupid. Then we are stupid. We don't have even the right to complain, because if you know somebody is lying to you, somebody is telling you something which is not the truth, and you accept it, then it means you are also a part of that stupidity. So if you have 300,000 or 300 well-educated people put together in one room, and they all talk about Colonial Era, they talk about poverty, but let me tell you something about Colonial Era. You have two things together in one package. You have colonial history and then colonial era. But when you get those clever professionals, some of them say, yeah, I studied in Harvard, I studied in Oxford, they will tell you that those are two different things. But how can a colonial history and a colonial era be two different things in one packet? To me, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. It does not make sense. Either colonial history and colonial era are the same thing, and we have to put it where it belongs. The day we got our independence is our responsibility. All the dirty wash is ours, not colonial era. All the failures is our responsibility. All the killing that had been going on is our own responsibility. Our failure to steer the ship is our own responsibility. So please, let's stop this nonsense about, yeah, we have a problem because of colonial era. We have a problem because of colonial history. We have a problem because of poverty. We are creating poverty. We are stealing the government out. Whatever money we get, we steal it. We put a little bit on the road, we steal the rest. We give it to friends. We give it to relatives. We give to whoever come and say, give me some money, I support you. That is stupidity. Now guys, I will be back talking about poverty because I find it very interesting when we just stop at 2 points. You have two people to blame. If something goes wrong on the way, just stop and blame poverty for it, and then blame colonial era for it. Those are two gentlemen that we have to blame for our problem. If your car breaks down, blame it on poverty. blaming about colonial era. That's what our leaders are doing. They're telling us the same thing year in, year out, and we believe them. And we believe them. That's madness. That's madness. It is real madness. It has to stop. Think for yourself. Be somebody. And start thinking today. Thank you for listening.